Good afternoon, Nkosi Talk Shows family. It's Namsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, led from within. So with me today, I have Amanda Marie. How are you, Amanda?
I'm good.
Awesome, awesome. So our topic today is how I learn to love what I see in the mirror. So in this world filled with gloss magazines, social media filters, beauty standards that seems impossible to meet. So the journey of self-love can often feel like an unfair battle. How I learn to love what I see in front of the mirror. A personal story is the individual of transformation, a tale of one person's struggle to overcome self-doubt and guide for anyone seeking to embrace their true self. What do you think about Amanda, about the topic?
I really like this topic, especially because so often we like avoid looking in the mirror. We look at ourselves and we're like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like that. And it's like a lifelong journey to really be like, okay, I like this person, or I love this person. And really, when you truly love yourself, that's when you have more love to give and share to others. And so I think learning to love yourself really is something that we should be learning from childhood, and we're not. And as adults, people are starting to learn this if you start to get into the self-help and mindfulness books, but it's not something that necessarily we focus on as a teacher in schools or anything like that. And so learning to really love who you are is a journey, and sometimes it's not easy, and sometimes it like ebbs and flows with life, where you have peaks and valleys as well, and you're like, you get to this point where you're like, yeah, I've got this, I love who I am, and then it's like whoop, and then you go up and down again. So I think it's like riding a wave almost sometimes.
I love that because sometimes it can be really hard to actually deal with that, for us to deal with our insecurities and the quest of for perfection as well. So if there's no insecurity, we want to be perfect. And when we are not perfect, when we look at ourselves in front of the mirror, we feel like we are not enough. Or sometimes it can be through our childhood, adolescence. And so that is very, very important to actually be aware of social media, be aware of magazines. When we see celebrities, we start pressuring ourselves, start comparing ourselves, being unrealistic with the beauty. And so social media plays a big impact to our children in this generation. And also family sometimes can be affected when a child feels insecure, they don't want to do anything. Or sometimes they go to school, Amanda, you are a teacher, when a child is being picked on by other children, maybe mostly girls, they feel that they are not loved, or they feel that they're not enough. It can play a big impact to their journey of growth. And so it's very, very important not to compare. So what would you say, Amanda, to those kids and parents that go around and comparing themselves, and the children that go and comparing themselves as well? What advice would you give them?
Well, I think that's something that we've always had when we've had like media and magazines and different things like that. I remember when I was younger, like the magazines all had these like little tiny twig-like people on them. And I'm not a very big person, but I just always thought like, and my family my parents were pretty like always conscious about weight, and always like hound you about your weight too. So I had a very unhealthy relationship with weight. And so that's something that I think is now starting to change in media, which is something that is a good thing, because I see, like, I'm Victoria's Secrets or something, the models in there now are, there's different size people in the modeling and in the pictures when you walk into the store. And I think that's a really body image positive view, and I think that's something that we need to see more of, where we see people of all different shapes and sizes being models too, not just one size. That's the, like, there's the one song that's like 34, 24, 36 or something. Remember, like, those sizes are unrealistic. We want everybody is a unique size, and we all have beauty within our shapes. And so I think that's something that we really need to talk about with kids, is that there's beauty in all shapes and sizes, and we are seeing it more. It's slow in the media and in magazines and stuff, but I do think it's coming, where we see more of that. And then too, like, how do we ensure that kids have a positive body self-image is something that it lots of it, like my negative one came from my parents for sure. And so where does that come from? Is it coming from what they're watching on TikTok? Is it because a lot of that is negative imaging, where it's all, where you have all these filters to make your eyes look bigger or your eyes look right? And I think it's funny, today I don't have any makeup on yet because it's 6 a.m. here, but and you don't have any makeup on today either. So I'm like, this is perfect. We're being like authentically just our authentic selves. And that's a really good way to be sometimes. Like, what if there were days where you went out with no makeup? Have you ever done that? Do you ever do that? And do you ever show your face on social media without makeup on, or without everything being perfect, and show your authentic, true self, like the good things and the mess? Because so often on social media, we're only seeing the, like, picture perfect parts of your life, and we're not showing the messy parts. I remember when I was married, and we took my daughter when she was 6 months old to Mexico, and we have these most beautiful pictures from Mexico that my ex plastered all over social media. And I had someone be like, oh, you had like the most beautiful time. I wish that we could have taken our kid there, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, honestly, that was the most toxic, unhealthy time of my life. And that trip was horrible. On social media, it looks like we were having this amazing, beautiful time. And the reality of it was actually very dark. And so those are, like, you see one thing, but the reality is actually another thing. And so sometimes what we see on social media is not what's real life. And so if I looked at those social media pictures of myself, I would be like, wow, they have like this beautiful family and these beautiful pictures on this hot vacation, like everybody's picture perfect marriage is supposed to be. But they didn't see the abuse, right, behind the scenes. And so that's part of learning to love what you see in the mirror, is not comparing what you see on social media to what people's reality might actually be, or even to what your reality is. And I know my daughter yesterday just had her picture day at school, and I always just take a couple pictures before she leaves, and then usually I do a better job than the school does of taking pictures once I like remove the background and change the background and just do some tweaks with the lighting on my computer. And but she was like, oh, I hate my pictures, I looked ugly in them, blah, blah, blah. And she's beautiful, and she looked beautiful. And but like, even at 12, we're already so self-aware and not loving what you see in the mirror. And that's something that we really need to work on together, especially at those vulnerable ages like 12, 13, where they really start to become aware of what other people are, what the social media things are. And that's something that I think we really need to be conscious of with kids.
Emma, I love that what you're saying, Amanda, that we have to be aware, like you're saying, people say, like, you went on a holiday with your family You come back on holiday and people say, wow, what a beautiful family. You had a lovely time, but they they don't know what happens behind the scenes. So it's very, very important. Even myself, I always say never ever compare your life with somebody else, because what we see on social media is not what really is going on at 99%. So it's very, very important. There are some happy families out there. Like myself, when I post my pictures, I always put in, then put the story behind the pictures. If you see me putting pictures, that means I'm happy. But if I take pictures and I'm not happy, I do not put them on Facebook, because that's how I feel. So I don't put them on Facebook. And comparing your life with somebody else is actually a thief of joy, because God created us with this beautiful image. It doesn't matter whether we've got big nose, we've got this, we've got this. It's ours. It belongs to us, and it's very, very important for parents also to be good example to their children as well. Because if a parent feels insecurity, a child will feel that way. Like you went on holiday and you come back, you were like, this is not the life that I want to raise my daughter, and you change everything. So it's very, very important for people to understand how important they are. The reason why we are all here on earth is because everybody has an assignment. So if you are not doing your assignment, what are you doing? So everybody has this journey that they have, the assignment they have to complete. And that assignment is not part of us spending time comparing ourselves with other people. We look at ourselves in front of the mirror, basically putting our lives in judgment. You go to court, the judge puts you on stand. He tells you that I'm judging you for this, 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 this. Is there's no different for you to go in front of the mirror and tell yourself that, you know what, I don't like this body, I don't like this about me. Can you just imagine? That is self-hatred. So it's very, very important to teach our children not to have this self-hatred, but it's not easy. Magazines, like I always say to my children, my daughter, she's 8, she comes to me sometimes, Amanda, she goes, I'm fat. I'm like, what do you know about fat, Kayla? And she goes, isn't it fatty? Fatty, look, I've got big tummy. She goes, I'm like, that's not fat. You are normal. It is normal. So we have this thing like the TV, like she watches things on YouTube, and they'll be making comment that, oh, I'm fat, I've put on weight. So all those things. So I always watch what she's watching, and then I tell her to change it if it's something that is not actually building her. So it's very, very important to make sure that we put number one first, because at the end of the day, we can look at the celebrities, they Photoshop their pictures, they're looking good, but there's a reason why they are looking good. They spend time, like hours, planning what they are going to wear. They have team behind them to help them go and pick the clothes that they pick. Imagine you just come on and see the picture of a celebrity on social media. You just go and buy exactly the dress, but they put so much energy, the stress that goes behind it, and some of them is actually designed for them personal. So you can always do that. You can always design your own image. You can always go online and just create your own style and love your body. And for me, when I went through the transformation of loving myself, I just went in front of the mirror and I just had this moment of, I just need to love myself. I need to accept my body for who I am as a person. So, Amanda, anyone that they're like they have hatred towards them, how they look, what advice can you give them? Or have you ever had any experience of a maybe one of the students at school is saying, I hate myself?
Yeah, definitely had that happen before. One of the things that would be to get counseling for sure. That even for like myself, I was thinking about what are the things that I've done to help learn to love myself, and one of them is to read books. Another one is to go to counseling. Another one is what you said, that the mirror work, and that there's mirror work explained in lots of different self-help books, but the one that I used was Louise Hay's, where you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I love myself, I love you, I love you. And you repeat that throughout the day. You repeat things like I'm loved, loving, and lovable throughout the day. Like she said, even 300-400 times isn't enough. You need to keep saying that. I love myself. I'm love, loving, and lovable, over and over and over and over again, to keep rewiring your brain into actually loving yourself. Another one that they say that is really good, that I haven't really used a lot, but I believe could work, is the power poses, where you stand in front of the mirror and you stand like a superhero, or like you're like won a race or something, or you stand, and it helps actually like rewire the chemicals in your brain when you stand like that, to have more positive outlook on life. And so there's like the superhero poses that kids especially like, that they can use those ones, and it works too. They say if you're going to go do a speech on stage, to stand in the power poses, or in the like, yes, I won this pose, and you'll go up on stage and you'll rock it. And so there's lots of research behind some of these things, even breathing techniques, just breathing, focused breathing. There's breathing where you breathe in and do box breathing for anxiety, or you can breathe in, do alternate nostril breathing. I forget specifically what that's for, but I believe it helps with anxiety as well. And so there's lots of different tools that you can have in your tool belt. One of the things that help me when I'm really in a funk is to draw and create and paint. And so just getting back to being creative in the areas that I love to be creative. And you can be creative in any area. It's really getting back to doing those things that you truly love to do. And when you do those things that you truly love to do, you start to really love yourself again. So maybe, I know through the pandemic, it was really hard because so many of those tools that I had were taken away by not being able to go to the gym, or not being able to go to yoga, and being locked in the house. So all of the tools of like for mental health got taken away. And I think that's something that we as society really need to consider if anything ever happens again, similar to this, where we need to be like, no, all of the tools for people's mental health need to stay open. We need to ensure that people have these outlets for their mental health, because I don't know what it was like in the UK, but in Canada, like liquor stores remained open, but gyms didn't. Like that's just completely diminishing our mental health as a society as a whole. And like restaurants couldn't stay open, but fast food places could. Like it made absolutely no sense whatsoever. And so when we really think about what are our outlets for mental health, we need to make sure that we're doing those outlets on a regular basis throughout the week. So meditation, going to the gym, getting exercise, writing, creating, all of those things help us to truly love who we are when we're doing those things that we love, and we're living from our highest self. And I know there's some weeks where I'm not living from my highest self, and there's some where I am, and it's that pattern of trying to get out of that funk that we really need to learn.
Yeah, meditation is very, very important. You have to meditate. Is if you don't meditate, because we live in this world where everybody, it's like I was talking to one of the parents. It was like, wow, come and meet my neighbors. If you go and buy something, they'll go and buy even bigger. If you do this, they'll go and do it bigger. It's like, look at me. I was like, that is exhausting, honestly, for somebody to live that kind of life. So it's very, very important to meditate, like Amanda said. If anyone wants to, I'm not sure how I can do this. If anyone wants to, if anyone wants the thing, you can send me a text. I have a meditation where you can actually scan the code. They give you 1 month. It's very expensive a month. I think it's £50 something a month, but they have a 1 month free subscription as a gift card. So if anyone wants that voucher, send me a message on Messenger. I will send you the code. Then you can scan it. You can put the code. You can register and put the code, and then enjoy that 1 month free. I got it from a business event. I've not tried it yet because I'm actually at the moment I'm meditating in the Word of God. So, but it's very, very important not to go around comparing your life and loving yourself. It means that I am grateful to my creator, to my parents that carried me for 9 months, that because we are important. So when we are born, families, they celebrate your birth. We have this birthday, happy birthday. So imagine if you don't love yourself, and happy birthday, it means it's the day you were born and you are loved. It doesn't matter whether you come from parents where there's no love, but we are born to be loved. It's just those people, they have their own issues within, but generally we are loved. So you have to know that we are loved by the universe, we are loved by God. So we are not to condemn ourselves, to say, wow, I don't like about this, I don't like about my body, my bum or my boobies, my this. I spoke to somebody once and she was like, wow, do you know how it feels like to be born in three beautiful girls who are tall, who are beautiful? And I was like, what does that even mean? And she was like, I just felt that I wasn't beautiful enough. And I was like, I never thought of that about my siblings. I just love my family, but I never went that far comparing my life, thinking my siblings are better than me or I'm better than them. I've never really gone that far. So it's like, wow, that is, if you are somebody out there who is feeling that way, you don't have to feel like that. You have to actually find a way for the path to self-discovery. And that it means meditation, like Amanda said, and self-care, and find a coping mechanism. That way, the tools that you can use to actually embark in your journey of self-love, because we can sit here and tell you that. And also exercises, Amanda, you mentioned the exercises, and breathing exercise is good as well. Amanda said, do your breathing exercises. They are really, really, really good. I use normally the breathing exercises that I use the one for music, for vocals. So they help me as well. So you can find the system that works for you so that you can actually cope with that. And also think about your image. You can go back to your childhood. That person you were when you were a child, that's the real you. Go back to your childhood when you were like, I think 5 years old, that's where you can remember 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, you start getting insecurity, or even 11, you start getting insecurity, boobies starts coming out, and you start comparing your life with other people and all those things. But go back to your childhood, that person that was there, it is your original self. And then when you actually find that, the character, when you are back in your childhood, if you are a Christian, you can ask God to show you who you are, your original self. or if you're not a Christian, you can meditate. The reason why we meditate, we live in this fast-paced world where stress take over. We meditate to activate our inner being, our winning spirit, our inner child, because our inner child do speak to us to show us the guiding through. Christians, Holy Spirit speaks to us. So that's why it's very, very important to use something like Christians, you can fast. If you're not a Christian, you can meditate. That means you are activating your spiritual, because whatever happens in the physical, it happens in the spirit, in the spiritually. So anything that happens, some people may say, you know what, I don't want to be, when I was a child, I don't want to be that person. That beautiful person who didn't care about anything, who didn't worry about people, who loved people, that person is just the real you. So go back to your childhood and try to retrieve that, your true identity. Once you do that, you create your identity unapologetically, and do not give a F word. I'm not allowed to say F word, guys. Do not give a F word about what people think. Honestly, we live in this world where everybody is watching. Well, people, if I do this, people are going to do this. Do not worry about people. The only person I worry about is God, guys. Honestly, when I'm creating my image, my identity, my values, my beliefs, the only person I look at is God. What does God think about my image? Because at the end of the day, nobody agrees with anybody. So you might as well find what works for you. Even when you come to Amanda, Amanda is a coach. Amanda is not going to come and tell you this is what works for me, this is what you need to do. She's just going to use the psychology. Everything we do is psychology. She will use the psychology to trigger your inner beings, and then you find you discover yourself. She's not going to tell you, or even me as a coach, I'm not going to tell you this is what you need to do. All I'm going to do is to use psychology, so you find yourself within you yourself, you discover yourself. That's what we can do. That's what coaches do. So you should do the same as well. Do not worry about what people think. If you want to do something, just do it. Look at it in front of the mirror. Just go and buy whatever you feel. Design your own image based on you and God. He's your creator, the universe. God is the universe. Over to you, Amanda.
I think that what you were saying about coaches like guiding you is definitely, they can give you hints into what it is that people may need, but we definitely never tell people what it is that they actually have to do. I'm a teacher, though I'm not a coach. I'm a teacher. I have a master's in education and a bunch of university degrees, but I'm not a coach. I don't have a coaching certificate, but I do help empower people through mindfulness. And that's the work that I do. And actually, when you're talking about what it is that the tools that you use to truly love yourself, I actually made a program in a book on how I did that for myself. And it's actually, I have it here, which is funny that this is the topic today. It's called Empower You: 6 Steps to Reclaiming the Present Moment, Training Your Mind for Peace and Purpose in 30 Minutes a Day. And it's really just a little book that you can get on Amazon, or there's a program that you can buy through my website that essentially talks about ways to empower yourself through tell your story. What is your story? Write it all out. And then the next thing is, okay, now rewrite it in a positive mindset. How can you rewire what you're saying into those hardships could maybe be in turn learning opportunities, right? And what is it that you learned from those opportunities that then made you the person that you are today, the strong, empowered person that you are today? And when we flip the story, we actually start to empower our lives and empower ourselves. Another thing is forgiveness. Who is it that you need to forgive? And it's not that you need to necessarily go and apologize to that other person. It's that you need to find within yourself the ability to let go of the anger and the pain that's holding you back and being stored and stuck in your body. Because if you are really angry at somebody else, then it's affecting you. It's not affecting them, it's affecting you. And so forgiveness isn't about going and saying sorry. It's about finding within yourself the ability to let go of what's keeping you stuck with that unforgiveness. And then the next piece that I have in it is about letting go and learning what is it that we unconsciously hold on to that's keeping you stuck. And so learn techniques to go and live in this present moment. And how can we, when our mind is busy and going a mile a minute, how can we come back to this present moment and be like, oh, I'm okay. I can breathe. I have a roof over my head. I have great friends, right? These are the things that you can come back to and be like, okay, I've got this. I have food on my table, these sort of things, right? And that really the healing starts with you. The only person who can change your life is you. If you want to become the best version of yourself, then you have to begin with yourself, with that inner work. And then starting to recognize your patterns. What are your patterns that are holding you back? Do you hit snooze constantly? Do you avoid things that you know you need to get out and be doing? And I know the one thing I've been avoiding is getting myself out on social media. Been avoiding that for a while. Getting up on TikTok and talking and empowering myself and empowering others through talking about my books and my vision for education and those sort of things. That's my pattern, like keeping me stuck. I don't know what yours are, but we really, when you start to take a deep look at what your patterns are, you start to realize that your patterns are what it is that creates your life. And when we have these patterns, in order to change them, you have to replace it with something else. So it's not just about being like, okay, I'm going to quit smoking. It's like, what are you going to replace it with? Because that's a subconscious pattern that we keep going to as part of our lives. And so when we have these patterns that we don't like, it's not enough just to say, I'm going to quit this pattern. It's that sometimes we actually we're more likely to be successful in getting rid of that pattern if we replace it with something else. And then the last thing is about shifting your perspective. And so how you look at things essentially affects your reality. When you shift your perspective, you can truly change your life. So those are just like the steps that you can do to really start to find love within yourself. And it's really about becoming self-aware of your patterns. What part of your patterns are causing you to not love who you are? It could be your self-talk. It could be your living situation. It could be your job. It could be something that you just have stored from childhood, some self-hatred that you need to go to a psychologist and really get to the bottom of. So those are just some tools and some suggestions of where to start.
I love that, Amanda, what you mentioned, that, the only person that can make some changes to your life is only the person, it's only you that can make those changes. And also I like the way you put it on that to become the best version of yourself, it requires the work. And you also mentioned that it requires you to go back and look at things, look at work. It's more like evaluating your life. You go into your foundation of your life and just evaluating everything, looking at your work. Is the work are you happy at work, or are you happy with your image? Just looking at everything without blaming. Some people, it's okay to find little things to change, but without blame. Some people, they blame themselves, or relationship, they find themselves in a relationship where it's no good, they will start blaming themselves. No one knows the future, by the way, guys. So that's why we don't have a right. When things go wrong, we cannot blame ourselves. So we can make some changes. That is the a room of self-discovery, self-growth, to look at things and commit to something. You cannot say, I'm going to make some changes and not committing to it. Committing to it, it means that I'm going to do whatever it takes to get where I need to be. Setbacks, they will be there. It's fine. It's normal. But pick yourself up. And also, we talk about commitment. It means little step, baby step. We do not start big because when we start big, we fall big. So we start step by step. This is an ongoing thing, discovering yourself. For me, what worked for me is looking at my image. I went to about, I think, 3 psychologists, and they were talking to me, and I didn't hear anything they were saying. It was then when I left the other woman, I went to the first one, I had a 10 session, and then I didn't get it. And then I went to the second one, I had 10 session, I didn't get it. Then I went to the other one, I had 10 session. But when I left the woman, now I started putting everything together, what they were trying to do. You know, when I'm saying I didn't get it, I thought I did. You know, like when you have this moment where you're feeling okay, you're celebrating, you're like, this is good, and then you go back to where you were. So that was my story. But then when I left this woman, now I'm like, who am I? Who is Nomsa? So then I went back to my childhood. And the Nomsa that I thought I was, that was the fake Nomsa. The Nomsa that I had left behind, ignored, that was the real me. And that real me, when I actually rediscovered that this is who I am, and then I realized you find that because we live in this world where there's so much stress, sometimes we actually forget who we are because of stress. So I went back and I was like, this is the real me. So when I actually started finding the real me, and I realized actually I was always there, but I was ignoring myself. So now I'm looking at myself in front of the mirror. The hardest thing is asking for forgiveness. Self-forgiveness is the hardest thing. Without self-forgiveness, you cannot move forward with life. For me, it was dealing with forgiveness, the neglect that I have neglected for years. I had to go to ask for forgiveness, God to forgive me for being a follower, because I became a follower following other people's character, following other people's image, following other people's personality. I became that. And then now ask for forgiveness for those who were not there for me back then. You know, now you do things and then you're blaming other people like who were not there for you. Yes, some people were not there, but it means life must go on. We forgive and then we move on. And then social media, me copying social media, pretending to be something that I wasn't. So I had to ask that for forgiveness. It was the hardest thing that I have ever done. But when I did it, it was like I had pulled out this dark cloud off my chest. It was like there was something that was lifted. And then I felt confused and I was like, what has been going on here? So, and then I found myself. When I did find myself, it doesn't mean that I celebrate and then I become. Now the hardest thing is to maintain that self. So now I had to maintain that self. Then that means I had to get the journaling books. I had to journal everything. If you can come to my house and I give you my journals and ask you to read, you'll be like, what the heck is going on? Honestly, sometimes the things that I was writing down, I cannot even recognize them myself, because it's the thought that you write down. Whatever comes to you, write down. You say positive words every single day. For me now, it was my prayer asking God, my identity. And when I asked God my identity, my family got confused. But my dad did not get confused. My mom did not get confused because it was the child that they knew that I was born. And this was the child that has always been here. And my mom did not get confused. Everybody else got confused, like what is going on. And then I realized that this person has always been here. Like what I do here at Ngozi talk shows, I completely did other things completely. That wasn't me. Okay, I love music. I played football, but after I left football, now I was doing other things that it wasn't completely me. So you can do all those things by just being honest. The the beauty about life and finding yourself and loving what you see in front of the mirror is accepting yourself for who you are and unapologetic, and your authenticity is very, very important, and cultivating confidence is very, very important as well. But when you do those things, like Amanda mentioned before, we got to stop comparing our lives with other people. When we compare, the minute you compare your shoes with somebody else, shoes represent what does the feet represent? I know the head is the symbol of your destiny. The minute you say, I don't like my face, the whole thing is the symbol of your destiny. If anything, if you break your leg, you can think. If you do anything, you can think. But if this goes, the body dies. So that means your head is the symbol of your destiny. Your hands is labor. It means whatever you touch, succeed. So imagine you're casting your hands out. In your words, they prepare you for the future. So you just have to love yourself. And it doesn't matter what people think. People might say, I don't know this person that you're becoming. That's what people say anyway. I don't know what you're becoming, but trust me, if you love yourself for the right reason, people will just love that character. And for me, I can tell you, I started the journey 2009. I'm still doing the same thing that when I began my journey of self-love. I'm still growing every single day. It means I still have to keep those habits. And if you have a bad habit, just try to get rid of them, because that could be a stagnation, a hindrance to you moving forward, because we need the character, we need the personality, we need the identity. Our identity is how we are able to identify who we are as a person. So how you identify yourself as a person, if someone says, who are you? Be able to answer that unapologetic. And knowing where we come from is very, very, very important as well. And just create that image. And don't say, you know what, I don't love myself, or I don't like my bum, I don't like this. You were created for a reason, and just fulfill that reason. Women, they have an assignment on earth. Women are creative. We are very, very smart people. So if you're a woman out there who posts on social media and not doing anything, get creative. Creativity comes from women. We are mentors of men. Men are designed to be architects. They are architects. They design things, but they need a good woman to push them, that thing to come, whatever they design, to come to reality. That's why women are mentors. We are born to be mentors. So if anyone is looking at themselves in front of the mirror and you say, you know what, I hate myself, I'm afraid that somebody is being a mentor, while people are saying, while you're looking at yourself in front of the mirror and saying, I hate myself, No matter what pain you've gone through in life. Some people might say, Amanda and Nomsa, you don't understand what I've been through. We do understand, no matter what pain, but you've got to look at yourself in front of the mirror and tell yourself how much you love yourself. Over to you, Amanda.
Yeah, that coming back to that self-love piece is always, it's a journey, right? It's something that you think that you've mastered, and then something happens, and then you fall back, and then you keep going each step of the way, each step. Sometimes it's 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. And then there's something I saw about like the achievement of success the other day, and it was this guy, and he was like bouncing on a trampoline with like this staircase at the side, and it was kind of like this almost dance, and he would bounce and then go up a step or two, and then bounce and then go back down a step, and then bounce and go up a step or two, and then bounce and then come down a couple. And then it was like almost this beautiful dance of like almost getting to the top and then falling and then coming back and then fall. And it was, and then at the end, it wasn't actually the staircase that he took. It was like running up the wall of the stairs to get up on top. And it's almost like we have to take these like unconventional means to truly find that piece where we're like, okay, I've reached this goal of mine, or this way to truly love myself. But it comes through these unconventional journeys and paths that we don't necessarily think that we or plan to be on. And I think that's part of that learning piece, is that when you look at your life, what is it that you didn't plan? And then how are you being resilient and empowered through those struggles, through those things that you didn't necessarily hope for in your life, and then you're faced with the reality of them, and then how do you navigate those in the most positive and uplifting ways? And I know sometimes when people would ask me, especially when I first got divorced, I'd be like, oh, I'm divorced. And they'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'd be like, I'm not. It's the like healthiest and most positive choice I could have made for my daughter and me. So I don't understand why everyone views divorce as a negative. It's actually sometimes the healthiest and most positive option you can make for your child. And I don't think getting divorced, you should make like that decision on a whim. But I definitely think that if you've been through counseling and you've been through certain traumas, that it is the only option. And in some cases, because if you don't choose that option, then you're going to model a very unhealthy relationship with self and relationship with other to your children. And that's not something that you ever want a child to grow up in. And so when people would say that to me, I really had to take a look at how society views divorce, and why is it not that we view it in a, wow, they made a really hard but positive decision for their family. Because I think so often we view it as like a defeat, when we should be viewing it as a triumph, and a triumph in healing. But I also think some people don't necessarily go through a healing journey when they get divorced. They just continue to repeat that same pattern with another person. And if you're doing that, then it's not really a triumph. It's just repeating those similar habits that were toxic to you to begin with. But when you do it from a healing journey perspective, it definitely becomes your like triumph. And I think anyone who's been through a healing journey of divorce or a healing journey of loss can really tell you how empowering it has been for them, and how it was truly the most healthiest choice that they could have made for themselves and their children.
Love that, Amanda. I love that. You just have to get rid of the patterns, the bad habit, like what Amanda is saying, if you've gone through divorce. And also, if you do go through divorce, don't feel ashamed of it. There's some people who feel ashamed, and they're like, I don't think if I'm ever going to meet somebody else. The reason why we divorce, we don't divorce because we like it. We divorce because we are with the wrong people, or maybe we are with the right people, but the insecurities. So once you figure out those insecurities, just work on them and don't feel ashamed. And also, like Amanda said, sometimes some people feel defeated. You don't have to feel defeated, and just speak life to your life. Like myself, sometimes when I pray, I ask God to take away my shame, because sometimes there might be part of me unknowingly in my subconscious mind where I feel ashamed. So I ask Him to wipe away my shame by the blood of Jesus. And the fear as well, sometimes the fear of being alone, that fear, or sometimes the fear of facing the world, or sometimes we know that we are capable of doing more, but because we fear those things, just find that courage to actually understand the uh, beauty beyond the physical appearance, the beauty beyond our inner world, the difference between our outer world and our inner world, and then be kind to ourselves and be resilient and authenticity, understand the power of authenticity, because what we feel on the inside is what we're going to feel on the outside. So we don't need to spend hours and hours getting ready, making sure that our makeup, eyelashes, hair matches everything, our high heels, our handbags, our clothes, they match everything. But we forget the soul inside of us, because what's on the inside of a person is greater than what's on the outside. So we just need to look on the outer world, look after the outer world, and then look after the inner world as well. The inner world should be the first thing. Do meditation. If you are a Christian, go pray to God. Ask Him to guide you through life, through your day, and without fear, because that's why the fear, we think we are not good enough, but we actually are. Everything we do in life, it requires us to learn something, skills. Relationship, it requires you to have the skills of relationship. Work, it requires you to have skills. Everything we do, parents, parental skills. When we are parent, we grow, we have our first baby, we haven't got experience, but then we grow because we're surrounded by people who have experience, we learn and we grow, and then we start using our values and our beliefs to help our children become who they want to become. That's what life is about. So please, guys, if you're watching this video later and you feel that, yeah, I've got insecurities about my life, get in touch with us at Ngozi Talk Shows. We help you to find your own voice and lead from within. That's what we do at Ngozi Talk Shows. And over to you, Amanda. Do you have any words of encouragement? I know it's time to go. And also let our audience know where they can find you as well.
We all have a journey to self-love, and no matter where you are on that journey, you always can take steps in the direction of finding that peace and security and empowerment in truly loving who you are. And part of loving who you are is standing up and being authentically yourself. And one of the ways that I've found is through creativity and through actually having mindfulness practices and those sort of things. And on my website, I have this free resource. It's a digital download if you want, or it's a book on Amazon. And it's just 5 simple ways to mindfully connect. And it's about doodling and reducing your stress and calming your mind and allowing you to release your creative genius. And so that's a free download if you go to my website, www.artmindfulnessandcreativity.com. Oh, it's time to get up here. 7 a.m. But it's definitely just a tool that's free, and it's on my website, and all of my social media is Art, Mindfulness, and Creativity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amanda. And for me, guys, I'll just leave you with this: a lifetime of self-love. It requires ongoing commitment, and is actually, you just have to be willing to embark in that self journey, and the just have that commitment. If you fall, just pick yourself up, and be realistic as well with the expectations. Sometimes we expect it to become what we will become a year. We expect it to happen in 2 days. So be realistic as well when you going through this self journey. It's a beautiful journey. Once you get the habit of it, you cannot turn back. It's just so beautiful. So please get in touch with us. You can go to the website, www.hseia, and just get in touch with us. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. If you're at Ngozi Talk Shows, like our page and join the group, Ngozi Talk Shows group and Unique Billionaire Mindset group. God bless everyone and live with grace.